Noah, I got nothing on my mind that is not Aaron Rodgers' first day with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You answered basically my first question off the introduction there because everything that I was seeing, everything that I'm hearing, it sounded like today was a wild day over in the
Yeah.
South Side, down the South Side in Pittsburgh. So you're out of the circus right now, at least a few feet. What were your first impressions of Aaron Rodgers, dude?
My man, it was chaos. My first impressions, I'll tell you the off the field first impressions before my on the field first impressions. I'll say this: all of the chaos that follows Aaron Rodgers that I think I don't know, try to downplay, at least in my head, all exists. It is all real. I've never seen more cameras. I've never seen more pit guys hanging out outside trying to get a look at Aaron Rodgers. I've never seen more random human beings at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex in my entire life. Not even close, to be honest with you. On the field, I thought Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. And you're going to get 40 of those today. Everybody and their mother is going to be saying, oh, Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. I'm going to be honest, that there's almost nothing that can impress you at mandatory minicamp or OTAs. It's football and helmets and shorts. He's 41 years old. He doesn't even need to be here, but he is. And the biggest thing that stood out to me was how quickly this guy released the football. And it was impressive because the Steelers haven't had anybody who could do that in quite some time. And if you're going to take away anything, you're going to take away the tangible stuff that you could look at right now. And, you know, you got to see a little bit of it, but it just felt for the first time this entire spring, summer now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, there was a sense of calm, a sense of refreshment. It was finally as if this team was ready. You know, it was the beginning of the year. What should have started 2 weeks ago started today with the Pittsburgh Steelers just being a complete football team. And you felt that. You felt that presence. You felt that organization. You felt that this team was finally, there were no more questions. It was no more sitting around going, why are we here? We don't even have a quarterback. And it was just, all right, quarterback's here. It's Aaron Rodgers. And I'll be honest, I don't think a single player, none of them, expected the circus that came with Aaron Rodgers, the crowd of media, the random pit guys and random people just hanging out, trying to get their eyes on practice. You could tell guys, you could see guys looking around, laughing, cracking jokes about the herd that followed Aaron at all times. I mean, this guy, he comes with the crowd like no other. And there's been some historic quarterbacks here. I think off the field was so mind-blowing to me today. On the field, I thought he looked pretty okay. Like, I honestly looked at Aaron Rodgers and a couple of things stood out. We'll dive into more detail here in a minute, but the total, the overall was like Aaron still throws the football pretty well. His release is wild fast, like crazy fast. And he seems to be a guy that everybody is very excited about, which, you know, you didn't know how the reaction was going to be. You felt it was going to be positive, but you weren't 100%. It's very positive. I mean, Nick Herbig's face when asked, he's a linebacker, and when asked, hey, you got any thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? He just looked and said, yeah, nothing against Mason. I like Mason, but that's Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's like, yeah, thinking the same thing. So it was an impressive first day. I'll say that on all fronts with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think I've ever been here and seen so much at mandatory minicamp that I have seen today.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well in the sense that it does feel like the season truly started today. The off season has hit the next phase of the cycle. We're now in the true preparation for the 2025 season, and it all has to do with the fact that their starting quarterback is there. But it's crazy. I'm listening to you. I'm enthralled by all of this. I'm like, I'm almost like falling into the lore of Aaron Rodgers here, and you talk about how exciting it was, how crazy it was.
Yes.
Does it overshadow the fact that there wasn't like your star defensive player there?
I think it does. I think it
Crazy.
does. I think the fact that TJ
Sounds
is
like
not here is something to definitely keep an eye on. I don't expect this to be an issue. And just like Aaron Rodgers, TJ doesn't need to be here. Cam Hayward doesn't need to be here. This is not a team bonding, get to know the defense type of situation. TJ could walk in August 1st and everything will be just fine. There'll be no worries on that front. So, and Mike Tomlin said it. He's Mike, you worried about his future here? No. Nobody is. I haven't talked to a single human being who's worried about TJ not being a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. Obviously, things could change, but I have a hard time thinking that they will. I just think this is normal contract negotiations with the superstar. They're trying to get themselves in a place where a deal could get done, and I don't think anybody is worried about it, but I do think it overshadows it with Aaron Rodgers because that's the spotlight. That's the guy who had all eyes on him all day long. Nobody cared about a single other thing. It was I made the joke earlier. Cam Hayward could have been playing safety today. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have had any idea that anything else would have happened outside of Aaron Rodgers. It was pretty nuts. I do some videos. I want to start with this highlights. I feel like that's important. Give everybody a little bit of a glance, give you a glance at kind of what was going on today on the South Side. I also apologize that there is no video because Kendrick Lamar played in the background the entire time. And, well, YouTube copyright doesn't let you do those things. I'll say this, man. And you could see it in some of these fast. It's just, look at how quick the release is. It's impressive. This is the one part, we'll get to this in a minute here, but the mobility, I think, is the one part that where we sit here today a little bit concerns me. It's the only part where I say this one's not on him if he does succeed or doesn't succeed because, well, he's 41 years old and that offensive line, but you could see how fast that release is. It's impressive. It's very impressive how quickly he gets rid of the football as he's moving through these things. More with the mobility here. This is the big one that I'm talking about as you're watching, just to kind of, at 41 coming off an Achilles, you never know. You never know what's going to come. But he did. He looked poised all day. What you don't see in these videos is that Aaron Rodgers took fourth string reps all day long. But I will say the mobility is the only part that, in my eyes, as you watch that video, it looks like a 41-year-old quarterback, and a 41-year-old quarterback's not going to move like that. Does it worry me? Only in the sense of I don't know if the offensive line is going to be good enough to hold him up, and they're going to have to in that. But you watch that, does he look like a 41-year-old? Does he look like an old man throwing the football out there?
I will say the lower body did look a little bit like a 41-year-old. But I mean, yeah, I think that's the question looming on everybody's mind right now is how, he's 2 years removed now from that Achilles tear. He seemed to have responded very well to it in the 2024 season, just in terms of being able to play all 17 games. So, I'm expecting, like probably Rodgers and the Steelers, that the strength is just a little bit more. He's a little stronger in the lower body here, but he's another year older. So you worry about the durability of that whole, ankle, lower body holding up. So yeah. I think he looked pretty much as expected. I don't think it's anything to knock or anything to criticize, especially over a 2-minute clip there, but it's just nice to see him in the black and gold. It's nice to see him throwing the ball. And yeah, I think the closer we get to him actually taking game reps, the more the time and the release point and how quickly Rodgers is able to get rid of the ball once the pressure's on, that just continues to become a larger and larger question and something that the Steelers will have to prove going into the 25 season. But nothing crazy besides that.
No, I agree. And that's the thing is, if Broderick's good, if Mason McCormick's good, if Zach Frazier continues to be a freak, if Troy Fautanu comes back strong, I don't care that Aaron Rodgers can't move. It doesn't bother me. He doesn't have to do anything. Throw the football. That's all he's here to do, is throw the football. The offensive line's here to keep him upright and to make sure he doesn't get hit. But he is 41. You get hit at 41, it's a little bit different than getting hit at 35, or 25 or whatever. And you're going to have to keep him upright. But I agree with you. He had this to say, and I think this is important as the next part of this conversation, is that Aaron, stuck to his grounds the entire time of, this was the time that I was supposed to be here, and I have he made it very clear he's got no regrets about missing OTAs, about anything that happened over the last couple of weeks, but he did address being a Steeler, signing with the Steelers, and why now is his best time. And I apologize for how far back I was. Again, 400 media people here. It was insane. It was like a herd of elephants walking from place to place. It was actually, I was nervous. I was going to text you halfway through practice and be like, hey, dude, you want to come tomorrow? Because I think I'm a little overwhelmed. I might need 24 hours to decompress after this. But this was Aaron after practice, speaking for the first time as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Aaron, what was the first day of practice like?
It was good to be out here with the guys. Still learning the offense. But good to be in Jersey and cleats again.
How long did it take you to acclimate to the offense?
I mean, those are two different things. The offense, it's a lot of the similar terms from the Shanahan offense, so I got a lot of stuff already booked. There's a couple new words and different things formationally, but I have it figured out in a couple weeks probably.
Aaron, you visited here over 70 days ago. What made now the right
70?
time? 70, yeah. It's been a little bit. What made now the right time to sign a deal and be here?
I was dealing with a lot of things in my personal life, and some things improved a little bit where I felt like I could fully be all in here with the guys. I had a great conversation with Mike throughout the entire process, and Omar. It was good to get that out of the behind.
Aaron, why was the Steelers the right fit for you?
I think it starts with Mike Tomlin. I've been a fan of his for a long time. There's a few iconic franchises in the NFL. I played for one of them for 18 years. This is another one of those. There's something special about, obviously, this area. So many great quarterbacks are from Pittsburgh. I feel like Pittsburgh has been a part of my career from the beginning. Playing for Mike McCarthy for 13 years, having Tom Clements, or Tommy Clements, depending on how old you are, as my quarterback coach forever. Don Capers, Kevin Green, Darren Perry, Ben McAdoo, Frank Signetti, Luke Getsy. I don't want to forget anybody, but a lot of Yinzers in my life.
I will say this. Aaron standing there with a Pittsburgh Steelers backdrop almost felt unbelievable for a minute there. It was the wind is so strong here at UPMC that my laptop almost just came flying at me on that one. But it almost felt like standing there. And that was my first reaction when he walked into the locker room. We were in the locker room this morning. It is trying to go here. It is definitely trying to take off as we sit here. He walked out of the sauna area and into the locker room. And I looked at him and like almost as if like, who's that guy? And I was like, that's Aaron Rodgers. That is not a sight I ever expected to see. I think any of us expected to see. He stands up there. He talks about why the Pittsburgh Steelers were it. Mike Tomlin's a heavy hand in that situation. He made that very, very clear that Mike Tomlin was a heavy hand in everything that went on, but also just that he's coming here and some things that stood out to me in his press conference, some big ones, I think, was that he wants to win, but he's playing football to have fun and to play football to enjoy it at this point in his career. And I think that's significant, but I also think that takes a lot of pressure off of a guy that I think everybody has a ton of pressure on where we sit right now. And also that he doesn't really know anything about this team or these players, but he's excited to learn that. So I'll ask two of those questions to you. Does it worry you at all that there is no, I need to win a championship that is in the back of my head as I need to go out on top? And at the same time, does it also worry you that Aaron's coming into this and while the Pittsburgh Steelers sure as hell know him, he doesn't know them?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a worry, sure, but I think overall it is probably the best attitude and approach for the Steelers going into this season. I think there needs to be a sense of relieving that pressure on the 2025 season. Yes, bringing in Aaron Rodgers is a big move, even if you question whether it pushes them into contender status or not, where like I still have questions about for sure, but I think the fact of the matter is Yeah, I'm not too worried about it, even though it's not exactly what you want to hear, perhaps, and maybe it's someone wanted to hear. I'm sure that there are lots of people who wanted to hear, we're going all in, I'm going out in a blaze of glory, I'm going down, winning everything or die trying. I don't think they're going to exert less effort now into the 2025 season to be a winner, to be a contender. I just think it's obvious, it falls in line with the fact that Aaron Rodgers has taken time to decide whether he even wanted to play in the 2025 season. Obviously, personal matters were as impactful as just his desire to play. So I think when you're at that stage, it's hard to say authentically and honestly, I'm in it just to win and nothing else. Clearly he wants to play this, for one more year. He wants to have fun, and then whatever happens, but that might not be the worst thing in the end for the Steelers, because, whatever happens.
I agree. And it's a lot of it's not on him at the end of the day. So to come out here, I think the worst thing he could have done is set the bar too high. And what I mean by that is, he's been here long enough where he said it. Somebody asked him and said, like, hey, for you, you've achieved a lot. Does that one last championship mean anything to you? Like, is it important? He said, yeah, but let's not act like I haven't done this before. And I think that's what he was trying to get there. What people will try to twist that into is, and I think that's what the question was trying to twist it into, to be honest with you. I'm on Aaron's side with this one, is, Aaron isn't all in on trying to win a Super Bowl. What I took it at is Aaron's been here so many times. He's had so much success in the NFL that he understands that it's June and he doesn't care about a Super Bowl. What he cares about is trying to learn where team meetings are. What he cares about is making sure that he knows every single player on the offense's name and every single playbook. And then come August and September, he'll worry about winning week 1 and week 2. And come February, he'll worry about winning a Super Bowl. But right now, he's got way too much on his plate and way too much to figure out to be caring about that right now. And I think that that's very significant, to be honest with you. And when it comes to him learning a new spot, I think that does spark some concern in me that, OTAs does get you adjusted a little bit and figured it out. And he, I hope, is sticking around a little bit longer to learn these things before taking off. I'd imagine he spends a couple more days here as he tries to get to the U.S. Open at least once,
Have to.
Have to.